Hey everybody, welcome back. We are here in Desirade in Guadeloupe. We're going to take a look today at the new NVidia driver 560.94. So let's get right to it. External power supply on, rotating beacon on, mixtures and props full forward, master and battery switches on, fuel valves open, fuel pumps on, magnetos on number 1 both sides. Take a quick look outside, make sure there's nobody out there to kill or maim. We'll go toes on the brakes, crack the throttles, right engine first. There's a good start. Oil pressure is coming up, fuel pressure is good, mags to both. Bring the power back just a little bit. Left prop is clear. Good start. Oil pressure coming up, fuel pressure is good, mags to both. Close the starter cover. Go fuel pumps off, fuel pressures are okay. Bring those throttles back a little bit more. Lean the mixtures for taxi, avionics master coming on. Transponder squawk altitude. Turn the external power supply off. You turn the external power supply on in this airplane, whether you have external power connected or not. To start it, we'll set the altimeter. Nav and strobe lights coming on. So what we're going to do today is just do a quick flight from here on Desirade over to the main island, to the big international airport, and then we will do a touch and go there, and then we'll hop over to Les Saintes, which is one of the freeware airports from World Update 16 Caribbean, which is a fantastic thing because it's such a cool airport. We'll go toes on the brakes, release the parking brake, and we'll let the airplane wiggle forward here a little bit, and then we'll test the brakes. Always test the brakes as soon as you get moving. I'll bring just a little bit of power in, get the plane moving here a little bit, and then test the brakes. The reason you do that is because if the brakes aren't working, you want to know while you're moving slowly. Alright, we'll go flap set for takeoff. Landing light coming on, fuel pumps coming on. I'm just waiting for that 530 to power up here, and then we can get moving. On course heading is 281. We've got that set. Final approach course looks clear. Runway looks clear. The wind is pretty sprightly today. I'm going to turn the ailerons into the wind here as we're making this quick turn. Even that little bit right there where you have a really stiff crosswind, that can pick your wing right up. Alright, heading indicator checks with the runway number, which is 09. Mixtures and props full forward, fuel pumps are on, flaps are set, takeoff power coming in. You want about 2 seconds to go from idle power to full power, and takeoff power is set. Engine instruments are in the green, airspeed is alive. Toes off the brakes. There's 70 knots. Let's go flying. Alright, just gonna hold that 10-degree pitch attitude right there. And 400 feet-ish, we'll start angling out. I'll bring the power back. Bring the props back here in a second. And get on that. It is juicy down here today, it really is. This is the third attempt that I've made. There's 90 knots, and we'll drop those flaps. Dump the flaps anyway. It is sprightly down here today. A little bit windy. Stick to 100 here in the climb. The first attempt, so I updated the driver this morning. There's technically nothing that we should expect to be different with this driver. It doesn't have any notes relevant to Microsoft Flight or specific to Microsoft Flight Simulator. It doesn't have any corrections that I would think would influence the sim. There's 1,000 feet. We'll turn the fuel pumps off. Check the fuel pressures, put in a little bit of rudder trim. But it's always worth a test. I'm expecting relatively soonish a new DLSS file, because they've come out with a couple drivers now in recent succession. Normally when they do that, that means a DLSS file is forthcoming. We'll see. 50 feet below our cruise altitude. Pull the power back a bit, pull the props back, nose over the airplane, and we'll level off. Heading to the main island here. So the plan is, what I like to do with these driver tests, you guys know I'm not an FPS guy, I couldn't care less. And I understand that people disagree with that, and that's okay. For me, the only thing I'm concerned about is smooth performance, and so that's what I want. And that's what I'm looking for today out of this driver. If you told me right now I was getting 100 frames per second, or if you told me right now I was getting 10 frames per second, wouldn't make a dime's bit of difference to me. Only thing I'm concerned with is nice smooth performance. And to that end, what I like to do with these driver tests is use a small payware airport, a large payware airport, and then a Sobo airport. If I can find 3 in you know, in an area where I can do that, and I can here in Guadeloupe. So that was Desirade that we just took off from. Cool little island off there in the distance, one of the 5 islands of Guadeloupe. And one of the things that I've been doing is trying to fly by attitude rather than chasing vertical speeds and trying to quote unquote level the plane that way. It doesn't really level the plane. So I've got it set to a good pitch attitude, and I'm just gonna let it have its normal kind of variations in altitude, and try not to obsess over it. It's hard to do in Microsoft Flight Simulator because there's a constant up down motion of the airplane. This airplane is extremely stable. In real life, extremely stable, and as a matter of fact, I will be sitting in this exact airplane, in all likelihood anyway, on Saturday, because we are going to Anguilla. I'll be flying from St. Martin to Anguilla on Anguilla Air Services. Coming up here on one of the 6 airports in the islands, in the Guadeloupe Islands. This is Saint Francois. Cool little airport. Be coming up here in a little bit on the beach village of St. Anne, which if you ever get a chance to go to Guadeloupe, go to St. Anne. If what you're looking for is beach, it's absolutely gorgeous. The one thing that kind of made me hesitate to go there when we went to Guadeloupe was that it is the tourist area, and we generally like to avoid the tourist area, but in this case it's the tourist area for a reason, and that's it right over here, just there at like our 10 o'clock. Absolutely gorgeous area, beautiful beach, palm trees, and great food. Just don't park your rental car in the wrong space, because I had my rental car jacked while I was there, and I do mean jacked. I parked illegally. I parked in front of somebody's driveway. They had a low fence, a low stone fence, and a low gate to their driveway, and I just didn't recognize that that's what it was. So completely my fault, but like, it's a rental car. There's a sticker on the back of it with a phone number, and all the people had to do was call the phone number and say, hey, the car with this license plate is parked in front of my driveway, and they would have called me, and I would have said, oh, let me go move the car. But instead they had their cousin jack my car. They towed it with the tow brake engaged, or the handbrake engaged. The car was in first gear. I always leave manuals in first gear. Absolutely destroyed the handbrake and the transmission. And then when we walked back to go get the car, I could see from 100 yards away that the car wasn't there. And as soon as the people saw us, they came out, hey, you blah blah blah. And so I'm like, you didn't recognize that I was parking in front of the driveway when I was doing it, but you know it was me from a distance when I'm walking back towards the car. Does that make any sense? So clearly they saw me do it and didn't say anything because they wanted to tow the car and get their €100, which is what they got. Anyway, go to St. Anne. Just be careful where you park. So far, so good. You probably don't want to hear that story. I have a lot of funny stories. Well, maybe they're not so funny. I don't know. Maybe they're just stupid. But coming up here towards Pointe-à-Pitre, the main airport here, Le Raizet. Directly off there in the distance, those mountains right there. Just beyond those mountains is literally directly off our nose on the other side, there's a little town called DLAA. And that is where they film the British TV show Death in Paradise. And we went and stayed there for a couple days and hung out with the cast and crew. Really nice people. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. So that's the second time. So you saw those stutters right there. That's the second time that's happened exactly there. So I tend to think, as we bring the power back, I tend to think that that's location related rather than driver related. I'm not running the Bing maps. I'm not running auto FPS. I'm not running any of that stuff right now. Just live weather, live traffic. I have to bring the power back a little bit more. There's 115. We'll go fuel pumps on. And we'll trim it for this pitch attitude right here. There is Le Raizet. So like I said, the last time I did this flight, which was an hour ago, I had exactly that same stutter in exactly that same place. Now we're gonna pitch the nose up here and level off at 1,000 feet. There's the white arc, second notch of flaps. Trim for 80 knots. Alright, I'm a happy guy. Not happy. Trim for 80 knots. Trim for airspeed. It's not, well, at least in the approach phase, you trim for airspeeds. Other phases of flight, I've started trimming for pitch attitudes. And we'll go start our turn here. Nice feel with these Charlie rudder pedals. I'll bring some more power in because I'm a little bit low on energy here. Get that 12 right in that left hash mark, and that means we've got a good left base. Bring that power back again because I can see we've flattened out here. And I did the same thing on the last flight. Got right through center line. The one thing you don't want to do when you go through center line like I just did, don't use the inside rudder to pull the nose around. Stay coordinated. Keep the ball in the center. If you've got the ball in the center and you stall, nothing bad is going to happen. If you have the ball, let's go mixtures and props full forward. If you're pulling the nose around with that left rudder and you stall, you're in deep doo-doo. Let's get over on center line. Is recommended. There's 1 white, 3 red. It is jumpy around here today. It really is. Should settle down a little bit once we get once we get into the area where we get some ground friction. Alright, see that stiff left crosswind there? Keep the nose coming down. Keep the nose coming down. Power out. Not too bad. My toe slipped on the rudder pedal because I've got socks on. Alright, mixtures and props full forward. Fuel pumps are on. Up 1 notch of flaps. Let's check our trim. Need some more nose down trim. Alright. Flaps are set for takeoff. Takeoff power coming in. Takeoff power is set. Normally I'd hold left aileron correction. I should have held left aileron correction that whole time because of the crosswind, but you just can't do that in Microsoft Flight Simulator. The plane will tip over. There's 70 knots and let's go flying. You just can't do that in Flight Sim 2020 because the airplane will just tip over. Which is unfortunate. Alright, and we'll trim for this pitch attitude. About 7.5 degrees is what it likes. There's 400 feet. We can bring the power back to 25. No. Props back to 25. And let's start our turn out here. I know, I know, I know. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, you know, I mean, it is just jumpy here today. It really is. 90 knots, we'll bring those flaps up. There's 1,000 feet. We'll turn the fuel pumps off. Fuel pressures are okay. Get to 100 knots, we'll trim for 100 knots. So like I said, that stutter we had earlier, I think that's location related. Because I've been flying this driver now for a couple hours, and that's literally the only time and the only place that's happened. And there's 1,500 feet. We'll bring the power back, props back. We'll go flying or cruising right through our altitude. Up. Now is where we want to trim for an attitude rather than an airspeed. We'll take whatever airspeed it gives us. Alright. Fuel pumps are off, flaps are up. See what, come on. Alright, I think we're in pretty good shape. So yeah, so in 4 days, I will be sitting in this exact airplane, Victor Papa Alpha Alpha Charlie. And I'm going to be happy about it. So destination now is TFFS. Les Saintes. This is a very tricky little airport. It's a very tricky little airport. Runway 9er is... Nope, wrong way. Runway 9er is what we're looking for. The METARs say that the winds are light down here. I think it said 6 knots last time I looked, but that can't be. Either the winds are incorrect in the sim, or the METARs. I don't know what it is, because, well, it does say, it says 0. Okay, now that makes a little more sense. Alright, so now the wind is saying 060 at 12 knots, variable from 030 to 090. In other words, it's a you know, 12 knots is not anything too crazy, but it is a sprightly little wind, and variable from 030 to 090. That would explain why the that would explain why it's tricky flying today. And this is one of the airports I would have picked for the landing challenges for System Update 16 or World Update 16 if they had asked me, which of course they didn't. But either this one or Mystique would have been pretty cool. They're both great approaches. Difficult. Alright. Nope. Not doing that. I do like talking to my airplane. I'm just aiming at the right side of that left-hand island right there. That's going to bring us in. That's going to bring us in around this little island that's in the bay there. It'll set us up for a good little approach here. Hopefully, anyway. Trying to trim that nice level pitch attitude is not really easy for some reason. That's what I want right there. You can see the runway heading, so the runway is, we're more or less on a left base already. It's a constant wrestling match with this airplane. You can see a little bit of trailing edge lead there. That's where we left from. There's Dominica off down there to the left. I want to be pretty aggressive in getting myself set up for this approach because it is such a tricky little airport. So I'm going to get back into flap range here. And there's 115. We'll get the first notch of flaps in. We'll go fuel pumps on. Trim for about 1 dot below the horizon right now. Nope. And I guess if you want to do that, airplane, we can do that. We'll get us into the white arc. Just hold level here and let the speed bleed off. There's second notch of flaps. There's 80 knots. I'm going to trim right for that 80 knots. Alright, we're trimmed for 80. So As long as that airspeed stays consistent, I'm going to be pretty happy. Bring some power out. What we're doing now, aiming right for this little outcropping right here. Right there. And the wind's going to be coming from our left. So we really got to be aware of that. And this is an approach where I am concerned about my energy. That's what I'm concerned about. How much energy the plane has. Not too much, not too little. I'm gonna straighten out here. I'm not going to tell you what happened last time I tried this. You can guess probably from the tone of my voice. A little bit more power, because what I want to keep that 80 knots steady in the airspeed, and I want to keep, see that left push there from the wind. It's 060, but it's variable 030 to 090. So this is variable to a straight crosswind, and very tricky here. Very tricky. I want to aim a little bit left here. I don't mind the airspeed coming down a little bit, given that I've got power to work with. So I've seen the runway come into view. Alright, now I want power out. There we go. Now we need some power in to give us some energy for the landing here. Alright. That was kind of a plopper, but alright. Alright. Lean the mixtures. Can you tell what I didn't do right? Aye. And these are probably from the Aero Club de Guadeloupe. One of which augured in at Brink or at St. Bart's about a year ago with an instructor at the helm. I'll come over here and we'll take this spot. All right, throttles, mixtures to idle, cutoff throttles are idle. Parking brake is set. Lights are coming off. Avionics master coming off. Fuel pumps are off. Flaps coming up. Mags coming off. Alright, master and battery switches coming off. We'll put the shocks out and the boarding steps, and then we'll come over here and we'll go doors open, and there we are. This is the little Les Saintes airport that they did for World Update 16, and you can see this is the little angle we came in. I was too high. I was a little bit gun shy on that one, but you know, good stiff wind into us, and this airplane can stop on a dime, so I wasn't too worried about it. But driver wise, again, I've done this flight a couple times now today. I saw that one stutter, and it was a big stutter in one exact same place each time. I tend to think that it was, you know, just specific to that location is my guess. Is there's a halfway decent chance I didn't update the airport, that there's an update from that airport and I didn't update it, and perhaps that's what it was, but it literally in the exact same spot. So my guess is that's what the cause was and not the driver itself. You know, that's worth what that's worth what you pay for it, which is nothing. I'm gonna stick with this driver and see how it works. I did not clear my cache. I didn't do all that business. I haven't done that in a couple driver updates now. Maybe I should. But you know, this one I'm not gonna give a hands down recommendation just because of that stutter, and I don't want people updating and getting stutters and getting mad at me. So if you're happy with what you're using, I'd probably stick with it. I'll experiment more with this, fly more with it, and I'll give you some more info as I get some experience with this driver. But I hope you guys enjoyed the flight. Hope everybody's having a good day, and we will talk soon.